Rasuke here, and my little review of the Demon Slayer Mugen Train, Spirit Train, Infinity Train, that sort of situation. Finally saw it, and I would have to say that this definitely delivered. There were some parts, as always, that come and go with these animes, so let's get into it. First of all, what I love about the movie is that it literally continues right after season one, which, is a big surprise. A lot of series, when they do movies and things like that, they're not canon or they don't connect in a certain way. They're side stories or don't have an impact. This has a major impact. And before we go any further, let's also say that spoilers, if you have not seen Demon Slayer, the Mugen Train, please come back. Take your time, find it. It's in theater. I've known people who've seen it in the theaters and they rave about it. I know when I saw My Hero Academia, Rising Heroes, I saw that in the theater. That was an awesome experience. Anime in the theater does kind of elevate things that you see that you see on TV, no matter how big your TV is. But the sound system and just the whole experience. Plus, you're there with fans and you just feeds off of those. So I could imagine people watching this. So we have Tanjiro, Zetsu, and Inosuke, and then the Hashira of Flame and Fire, I believe, is different. So he's Flame. Rogetsu? I think I'm forgetting his name. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I don't have it right in front of me, even though you are watching images right now of it. I don't have all their names in front of me. And I'm still learning about the Hashira. And I only know Demon Slayer through the animation. I'm not reading the manga. In fact, I'll just do it this way. If I really, really, really love it, of course, I will go back and read and that sort of thing. But for right now, this is satisfying so much. So, what's interesting about this movie is that it takes completely on this train. But let's get with some of the negatives I have at first. And the first negative is there's spoilers in here. I guess the first boss, it turns out the demon is the train and that sort of thing. I think he was a lower third or a lower second demon? And that's the one that got the powers from Muzan. With the mouth that shoots out psionic energy or anything like that makes you fall asleep. And you're in this perfect dreamland and things like that. They even bring up tuberculosis, which was a big thing in Japanese culture as far as, being debilitating for children and things like that during this time. I want to say, is this around the 18th century? 17th century? Somewhere in there, because they got steam trains and things like that. But, man, the dream sequences are very interesting. Each one is different. And Zenitsu always is a little bit over the top for me. He's the only real character I still struggle with because he cried. I mean, who was ever the voice actor, and I do watch dubs. I like dubs and subs. It just depends on my mood, So I'm not, I'm not a big proponent on fighting that battle. I'll take either one. But Zenitsu, oh my god, the screaming and the crying. He actually does not do it that much, but he still does it enough in this. So he was a problem. That first character was a problem because she or it or shim, I don't know. If that was, I think it's a female, right? I want to say dream demon, that's what I'll call it. Standing on the outside of the train and just talking and talking and taunting and talking and taunting and talking. Yes, both. And the demon definitely had some acrobatics. They did use CG a lot on the train in this blob of flesh and tentacles and things like that going after the Demon Slayer Corps. But it didn't bother me that much. I mean, it was just enough. If it was other things, certain times the train was also CG. Didn't bother me that much. That was a big twist. Kind of like the whole train was the body infused. That was kind of gross and that sort of thing. But when you saw the spine, that the neck thing of the demon there exposed, and you had Inosuke and Tanjiro fighting, awesome. And oh my god, the Hashira Flame was amazing. He is awesome. I mean, his intense looks is just, he just feels badass all the time. You know how you feel about certain characters in anime like Vegeta, where they just are drawn with a presence, like they just show up. And for some reason, you are just locked in and you know this person is serious business. I take it that all the Hashira will have their own personality quirks or little things and stuff like that. It was cool to see him eating his food and going, tasty, tasty. That was quite interesting. But believe it or not, out of the negative things, those were the two. The first lower, and you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, lower third or lower second demon, like I said, had some acrobatics, but wasn't a really big warrior. Liked to put people to sleep and then I guess kill them, or feeds off of their almost like torturous psychic energy and all of that. It was a little nebulous on that. So anyway, that character talked way too much and did not a lot of fighting, a lot of tentacle stuff like that. And then Zenitsu also, he did less, but still, he's even more irritating than Inosuke. Inosuke actually is shockingly right. If you remember, in the last season before he gets on the train, now we're talking about the stuff I like, we can get to it, is that he said it was a monster. He said, and we all, the viewers, and even Zenitsu and Tanjiro, who was just thinking, oh, okay, he's from the mountains, he grew up around nature and things like that. To him, this is a mechanical beast. What did he say? He said, see, told you I was right. He was right. Even in his dream, if you notice, where he had Tanjiro as a raccoon and Zenitsu as a squirrel, and he had cute little Nezuko as a bunny, and they were all his underlings. He still had the train as this giant centipede type of insect creature monster thing, and they were in its lair. So he was right from the beginning. He was awesome. Him and Tanjiro are just an awesome combination. We got to see Zenitsu he definitely had the best dream with him and Nezuko, and for the first time, this is the first time I've heard, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, Nezuko actually talking. Whoever did the voice acting, perfect. It matched. I love it. I actually would love for Nezuko in the future, however they're going to do their story arc, I think they're going to grow together, for her to eventually start talking. I know she kind of grunts and she had some great fighting scenes too. I wish we could have seen more Nezuko. Maybe that's a little bit of a negative, but not too much. Nezuko is, at this point, an incredible fighter. She can use fire now. I love the brotherly and sisterly connection. Even the dream world, that was intense. The emotions are high, and all of that. So the sword fighting on the train is awesome, but it really kicks into overdrive. You think it's over. What happens is that we get, I believe his name is Akaza, or I think I'm saying that right. But this guy right here, this demon, and I think he was called an upper third or higher third. You guys can correct me again. Still learning a lot about the hierarchy of the demons and the Harashi and that sort of thing. Anyway, he was a martial artist. No weapons, bare hand. He pretty much instantly regenerated. And you know where I'm going to go with that. This by far was the best fight. This was epic. This had everything. Brutality, tactics, movement, effects, and it was just awesome to see. I had no idea it was going to end like this. And then when Tanjiro's hurt, Inosuke is just frozen. I mean, he's listening to his commands, but he also wanted to join in, and I think he would have, but he realizes that they're on a different level. He says it, and he realizes these guys are on another level, and I wouldn't stand a chance, take a chance. It's just not, I'm not going to survive, His animal instinct. Sometimes I love that animal instinct in Inosuke. So, the fight continues. It's bloody, it's tactical, it's dynamic, it's the sun starts to come up, and I actually thought that was a tactic, because as things were progressing, I remembered that the sun was coming up, and I thought that was his whole plan after a while, because it seemed pretty even. And I love that the demons start to get panic, and he was leaving, and then we find out that yeah, man, the injuries that he had, he wasn't going to make it, but what an explosion of emotions Tanjiro does. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm saying that a lot, because I'm doing this a day later, and a lot of this has kind of, I'm trying to see if I can remember everything right that I want to talk about. But he threw his sword, so Tanjiro doesn't have his sword anymore, correct? You guys can, tell me that. Is he going to take up, the Hiroshima, Flame Hiroshima sword, or is he going to get it? I think he's going to get another sword. I think his sword is going to go to his brother. Oh, that's another thing. His backstory. Great. It was done very, very well. I feel like I know his family. I feel like I know his mother, his father. It's amazing that they were able to flesh them out just enough to where I felt like it was a perfect balance. I know just enough, and of his family, of his upbringing, the personalities of everybody in that short segment versus multiple episodes, or, not enough or too much, because you could have been there too long and we go, okay, I get it. I get the point. But no. And that's a talent, man. That's a talent. That's a skill. It's both. How to do that. So anyway, we've seen his backstory, and he dies. I did not see that coming. I did not see any reviews or spoilers or anything like that. So I did not know he was going to die. And that is so messed up, because he is such an awesome, just visually stunning character. But we know Tanjiro knows fire. He knows water. Is he going to know another one? Is he going to turn into the airbender here, the avatar, I shouldn't say airbender, where he's going to pick them all up? Who knows in the future, right? But, yeah, he dies, man. And they give him an incredible, send off. He talks really long, with his injuries. And I see what they were doing. I was like, man, he's got a lot of endurance to keep talking. But yeah, he dies. And the last thing I'm going to say, and I'll wrap up and give you my score here, is that I love that Inosuke said, stop feeling sorry for yourself. He said he already believed in you. You just got to know how to get there. And I love his animalistic nature point of view, because he was saying we all die, we return back into the earth and things like that. It's a very, for him, it's a very cyclical thing. You know what I mean? Maybe to other people, they get into the whole religious thing, like, oh, you're dead and gone and it's terribly sad. And he's like, yeah, they're dead, but they've returned back to nature and that sort of thing. That's the feel I got for it. And I loved it. He was trying to be positive, and he's like, but you're crying too. It was great. And it's a way to kind of wake them up and show that the Hashira really believed in all of them. Even Nezuko, which, like I said, should have gotten a little bit more time. But let's wrap this up. You have things to do in your day, so I will give my review of Demon Slayer Mugen Train an 8.5 out of 10. And the only reason why I don't give it a 9, certainly a 10 would just be like everything, is that, that one first boss, that was kind of drawn out a little bit too much. And like the little irritating parts, but that's the 0.5. The other stuff was the 0.5, And who knows? I might rewatch it and go, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. It does pull at the emotional heartstrings, you know what I mean? If you're, involved into the story and kind of going on this journey and things like that. But yeah, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for listening. This is Rasuke.